artificial intelligence on how to reveal me a glimpse of the glitch of the simulation. Wouldn't that be a real trip? Oh, let's take it together to find out how we can manipulate the script for just long enough for it to cause a chain reaction, no type of effect on the code to cause a reboot to awaken them from the safe mode.
But yeah, just you could feel the energy shift. So I'm wondering, like, when we get into the conversation about, because I keep forgetting this. I watch the astrology shows, and then I forget when the dates turn up what the energy is. So because I know something's happening on the 20th, apart from that shit show where, you know, there's more troops in DC than Afghanistan, but the difference is they have ammunition in Afghanistan because apparently
they're only managing the poppy trade at this point in Afghanistan. So it's
that's why you do need bullets to save the poppies. But they're saying, you know, all these National Guard guys don't have any clips or ammunition because one of them may shoot Biden because they're a Trump supporter.
So why happened there? I'm confuzzled.
Yeah. If anyone saw my meme of The Force Awakens, where it's Inauguration Day 2021.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, basically where it's Hux on Starkiller Base yelling at the thing, and it'd be the end of the Republic. And yeah, just that's what's going to happen on Wednesday because no one else is going to be there.
I've seen a lot of pictures. What was that, Johnny?
This is first time on. I've been trying to get on for a long time. This is my first time on. Johnny Boy from Glasgow.
Hey.
Nice.
Oh, and a quick report from Melbourne. We have tennis players whinging about COVID. Back to you.
I'm sorry for your tennis players.
Just wondering about that prediction about after 2017 about how he was probably going to be the last president of the United States, and it's like, well, fuck, technically that wasn't really wrong.
Yeah.
He'll be the last president of the corporation.
Everyone hopes. Everyone hopes, guys. Well, just wait and see. I'm not holding my breath. Although I want to say, like, I've seen some interesting photos out of Washington in this whole setup for the inauguration. And I have lots of questions. I wish we had an unfucker there. Someone that we could trust to go take some photos. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's just too easy to set up shit. Well, not in, but like, for example, they've got the black fence put up and all the locking mechanisms on the fence are on the outside.
Razor
all
wire,
the clamps,
which slices through.
And the razor wire is set at the top of the inside. Now, being ex-military, we've played the whole razor wire game. I don't know, maybe they've changed how they do these things, but razor wire is usually on
a deterrent.
The deterrent on the outside of the fence, not on the inside. But I don't know, how do you trust pictures that you find on the internet type shit, right? So that's what I'm saying. I wish we had someone who could go take some photos, boots on the ground that we knew 100%, you know? Yeah, we'd really like to have some photos of that. I want to know.
Seeing the images in the pictures and video I've seen, it reminds me of Batman Arkham City. You know, that's like kind of reminds me of like where Gotham City gets turned into Arkham City. So yeah.
Or it's another sequel to Escape from New York and Escape from LA. It's now Escape from DC.
From Washington.
DC, the third installment of that movie.
Has anyone seen Kurt Russell recently?
I don't know. I haven't seen Kurt Russell recently.
If they really, really wanted, I think the American Sniper record or something is a shot that's what 2 miles or something like that, something stupid. That really, if they were determined, they could probably get close to that if they just put it in the right spot in DC or around DC. I'm not saying shoot the politicians.
No, you'd never say that. I know you. You would never say that.
So what are you guys relying on for accurate information? Because I find that if I go to a certain person's website or information, that it's colored by whatever their ideology was. Like,
Yep.
you know, there's the group that thinks it's the financial reset. There's the group that thinks that we're going into an ascension. There's the group that thinks it's an overthrow of the Democratic Party. And so I know better than to type into Google accurate source of information. You know what they showed me? Reuters and A&P, and I thought, are you kidding me?
Honestly, in my experience, the most accurate place to get any kind of actual news about a country is to go outside of that country for the news. For example,
and I should know that, Nick, because I used to work with a guy that was from Russia, and he used to laugh at us. This was about, I'd say 2014, 2013. And so he would show us, he would go frequent the Russian sites and show us the disparity between the news. So
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Yep. When I was doing the news show, when I was doing Transpicuous News twice a week, I would, every day I had a reel of sites I would go through. So I would go to rt.com as a basic site of like, it gave you a commentary on,
Al
give you
Jazeera has
kind
some
an
good stuff
idea.
occasionally.
I'd go to Al Jazeera. I had several in the Middle East that I'd go to. One of which was Iraqi, that I would have to have the page translated into English, because at the time I was watching the Iraqi war stuff real close, and the best way to get the information was to go directly to the sources. I would go to several of the Russian news outlets. I'd go to even some of the German mainstream and French mainstream, not because they'd be correct, but because it would give me
Get a better exposure of all the things.
You get a
rather
better
than what they want to focus on.
Exactly. You get a more broad spectrum exposure to what they were trying, how different countries were trying to twist narratives. But that's literally what I used to do. I used to go to all, if a news story came up in, say, someone posted it to me from CNN, I would then go and double check through all the other news agencies to get the
Before you knew CNN was a piece of crap.
the South China Post was another one out of Taiwan. I used to check them all the time, because they gave us you get some interesting perspectives. And like, that's not to say that any one of them is right, but it gives you a broader perspective of what's the information going around. And from there you can start to try and pull out the little threads of truth and figure shit out. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. And I forgot to add the China scenario in there as well when I was outlining them. Anna in the chat said, don't forget China. So we've got a few scenarios in play here. And so I'm listening to everything, even the people that have been discredited, because I'm trying to see if there's
always little
some kind of a balanced information in there.
Find your people. Listen, I shared a link with Galen and yesterday, one that was sent to me. And it was a very woo-woo, coming from a very new age. Obviously, I've never heard of this person before, but their background beliefs were very obvious in how they were presenting the information.
Yeah.
And I said, what was interesting is they were talking about colliding timelines. And they were talking about, there was 2 timelines, and each one was running on an 8-year cycle. And basically, events that happened in the one would 8 years later play out in the second one. So it caught my interest, and that was why it was sent to me by someone who watched the show, and I was talking about 2013 repeat, which would be 8 years. But when you read, the whole rest of the video was like an hour and a half long, and I just kind of skipped through it. That person is, obviously it's very much, if you want to call it, channeled intuitive information. That person was bringing forward a story, bringing forward an explanation that is coming from them, and therefore it's colored with their beliefs, colored with their bias, their narratives that they're working from, because that's how you're going to interpret information that comes in, right? The same way of Yellow Rose from Texas is another really good explanation. That doesn't mean there isn't some stuff in there, but it's then you got to go through and like pick through and pull out just the threads that resonate if you can find them, because you're going to find, and sometimes it's one sentence, right? Sometimes all it is one sentence, and you get one sentence and you go, oh, now that's fucking interesting. I need to think about that, or I need to go look into that a little bit, right? So
to further that, honestly though, most media, it doesn't matter if it's what you catch on Facebook or Twitter, or if you catch it on like CNN or NBC or whatever your news source is, it's generally speaking just one line or one part of a paragraph that's the most important part of any of it anyway.
Yeah, that's why I say I trained myself in every news article I read, no matter where no matter what outlet it's from, there's always one sentence. There's always one sentence in the article that is the reason that whole article was written. The trick is finding the one sentence. And sometimes that one sentence has really nothing to do with the rest of the article. It's just slid in there somewhere, and you go, oh, this entire article is fluff, except for that one line. And that's the piece that was important to pay attention to. And sometimes it literally is that. It's simply a single sentence or a small paragraph that's hidden in the middle of the stuff. And it just takes training yourself to be able to find the sentence.
I think that's what's nice about having this group too, Danny, because it's an international group. So we don't get stuck. I don't get stuck just reading Canadian news. Yeah, people in the US not stuck. Remember, where's Ihor? I don't know how to say his name.
Ihor.
He hasn't been here for a while.
No, he's in.
Ihor?
No, I haven't. I hear from him occasionally. He was down in South Africa last time I spoke with him, and might know where he is. If he's left South Africa, I don't know. But that's it.
Funny though. So I really appreciate the international element to this group, because then somebody can come and step in and say, oh my God, what you're reading is just total propaganda.
Yep. Well, if you look at
the ones I don't like are the ones that, I
was just gonna say, like, Nancy, you're there from Canada, and we've got a bunch of us Brits here over in England. So Gail and Jimmy's in England, Johnny's over in Glasgow, Scotland, Monty's over in Australia, Donna Maury are down in Texas. Samira, where are you?
I'm over here in the Netherlands.
And you're in the Netherlands?
I'm over here in the Netherlands. And I was really sad about the last time that I couldn't get in because I didn't get the notification. But it's getting really crazy over here in the Netherlands because we're all following the stupid QAnon. And my friends are getting really mental, Danny.
I know. It's global.
Crazy. Global. And what I see, I have family because my DNA is from Morocco. And I've been watching you from the old days, I'm missing the views and you told us this summer that you were going to do it again, but it's crazy. People are getting really, really rounded up, and our government just fell.
I know.
And they fell about but they waited and everybody, because we have Rutte, and Rutte has been governing us for over 10 years. And he got everything away. He closed hospitals. He put the game on with the people. Lots of people killed themselves, lost their houses. It's really and they're pushing the agenda. Get out Arabians, get out the Moroccan. It's openly okay to say here in the Netherlands, fuck the Moroccan people. Fuck you, get out. And I was born and raised here. They created a big problem, this problem that is now coming. My dad was a social worker. He wrote a paper in the 80s warning the government and telling the government that the way that we are treating the newcomers over here, because then we were just over here for about 10 years. And they kept on grouping us and pushing us out and letting us work, you know, like the batteries. Work for us, and when you're empty, we will send you back to your own fucking country. We hope you take your children with you. When you don't take your children, we will get the security for your healthcare. It's way expensive. Then they send the money to Morocco. So the people that worked here, most of them died. Also, they got really bad chemical shit, and the youth, when if you try to get an education and you have to go work in that education, it's so hard for Arabian youth to find a stage plek. So they integrate the work with the studies. It's really hard. It's hard to buy a house. The police is racist. People that are selling their houses, they won't sell their houses to you. You have to take the name of your girlfriend or whatever. It's scary.
Well, when we lived in Morocco, we met so many people, so many amazing people. The Moroccan people are just fantastic. We met so many amazing Moroccan people, and especially the young people, and they'd all be like, oh, we want to go to France, we want to go to England, we want to go to Canada, oh, we want to go to America. And we used to say to them, do you understand that, like, we came here to escape from all the shit that's there? You have a much better life, much better chance of a decent life. Like, you don't comprehend. There's this dream of what this life, this Hollywoodized story of what your life will be in America, but none of it's true. And none of it's true in Canada either. It's not true. So there's this, and so many young people we met, and they were like, really? Really? And we say, okay, let me explain to you. And you sit and you start talking about the shit and say, like, do you understand that? And you start laying out, like, what minimum wages versus how much it costs for rent versus how much it costs to buy a head of cauliflower.
To mention the opportunity in an environment like that, if you're clever, is so much more. Like, there's so many more opportunities to enrich yourself, to make real decent living in a place like Morocco.
Yep.
I found
we used to go on holiday over there, and you know Oujda? Do you know the area Oujda? It's near Saidia. Oujda?
Yeah.
So it's near Saidia, and we had a house over there. I know so many boys, God bless them, they drowned it in the sea, and we were telling them, don't do that. Don't do that. You have no job. You have nothing. Nobody will help you. And they would say, our Muslim brothers. I said, what Muslim brothers? We're fighting each other over here. And the propaganda that comes via television, via the movies, via everything, it's just sucking them out of the country.
Yep. And there's nothing there. It's all a false illusion.
Well, they
completely,
because they get fooled in certain ways, right?
Oh, yeah.
When we were looking at the markets, and there's the father and son in the family, and they run the market stall for whatever it happens to be, whether it's the butcher or whether it's the fruit vendor. Those guys get tunnel vision into a certain type of life, and they can't imagine another way out, even though they have exposure to internet and they have exposure to television. And if you like, I don't know how many times I've sat there and had a few minutes conversation with a lot of guys in Morocco and saying, look, if you just used a little imagination, you could have a really nice life for yourself in a place like this. All you have to do is innovate a little bit differently in such a way that people will look at it and go, wow. And as soon as somebody starts to copy you, you know you've done very well for yourself. And I proved it to them in a few ways, right? So, like with the products that we make, the Moroccans, they tend to be tunnel vision. Like, you want to buy argan oil for your hair, you buy argan oil for your hair. Blending of the products to make new things, they weren't really all that imaginative with it in certain ways. And it wasn't very long before Danny's stuff was being copied, and we were seeing it.
But also the argan oil, it went all to the English. Lots of English people are buying up stuff over in Morocco. The Spanish people are booming. They're buying everything over there. The English, also Dutch companies are now going to Morocco and having their call centers over there and taking Moroccan boys and girls from here to there, because life is way easier for them over there.
Costs less, a lot less.
Yeah, it does.
And one of the things that I've been reading about is that one of the best types of the blue tansy flower, the Moroccan chamomile, is some of the best in the world. And there are entire industries right now just springing up over the blue tansy plant.
One plant.
And there's guys that literally just go carousing over the Moroccan hillsides looking for this plant, and they know where they find it, and they clip a little bit until they make a bundle, then they'll haul it out to the road and somebody comes along and picks it up, and this stuff is worth $5,000-$6,000 a liter.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I have a question. Did you guys, first of all, have a topic for today before
No.
I ask this question?
Do
Okay.
we ever have a topic?
Well,
Come on.
Can someone explain to me how this works with the IP addresses? I was listening to Mike Adams, I think it was, and he was saying in case of an internet shutdown or power, or I forget the scenario he outlined. He says, here's my emergency IP address. Just type it into the address bar. Why does it recognize the IP address, but not the www address?
I don't know. If we have a tech person who can answer that, I've heard that, Nancy, I've heard that myself. I have no idea if it's true. I have no idea how it works. It's
Because
over
to me,
my
it all
head.
points to the same place. So why would one be different from the other? Okay, we need Penny to chime in on that when she's around.
I don't think Penny's here today.
I would
Hold on.
guess. I would guess that
Because the IP address, see, there's IP servers, so like that. The IP is like the telephone book for for
It's
your
your phone number.
servers. Yeah, and so the URL in that is just a different way of getting to the IP address.
I understand. It's like an email forwarder, and then Johnny just put in the chat there, it's a static DNS. So it's a permanent, it's like your MAC address, I guess, for your computer, right?
Right.
So it's an identifier, whereas I could take my website and I can redirect it to Amazon if I want, or you can redirect a URL, but you can't change, I guess, the
IP.
static DNS. Okay, got it. Thanks,
I'm
guys.
not sure if you want to send it to Amazon.
Yeah, I was just thinking that through, Earl, and I'm thinking that maybe putting your IP address out there in a public space is not the greatest idea.
No, because that's laying all your cards out.
Yeah, but not only that. I mean, anyone can see, for example, anyone can do a search on Gaia's Garden and pull up my IP address. Anyone can do a search on UnFuckIt Unite and pull up the IP address. That's listed globally.
Fair
There's
enough, I
like
guess.
as like kind of the internet yellow pages, IP addresses of websites are always there. It's just a matter of, yeah, cable is always the same IP. ADSL changes when you switch the net. Ah, okay.
Johnny, I'm
See?
struggling to understand what you're saying there, man. Like I not that smart.
Is it the accent?
Yeah, it's your accents coming through on your typing. Come on,
I know.
dude.
No, I know, but you know yourself, when on your ADSL, when you switch it on and off, you can change your IP. That's how you ban for something, change your IP. But if you're on cable, it's the same IP all the time. You know what I mean?
Ah,
Did you
see, I didn't
understand
know. So cable meaning
Fiber optic, just
fiber optic. Yeah. Okay.
It stays the same, like say your broadband, it would stay the same all the time. Know what I mean?
Not necessarily. You can
It depends
get
on where you are, probably.
It depends on your provider. Some providers will give you a static IP, and some will give you non-static IP.
But if you've got your cable straight into your house, it's the same because you're connected.
Yeah, but even still with certain cable providers, they can give you both if you ask for one or the other.
All right.
Yeah,
Here in
like I'm
Australia,
saying,
we've upgraded-
location, it might change by location.
Yeah. Here in Australia, we upgraded from ADSL to broadband, and it basically means that we've been given another box, another modem.
Pressing in and trying to
Hold
get
on,
in.
we've got someone
Wait,
is
Sterling.
talking in the background. I'm trying to figure out who's talking in the background.
Heard this crunch and I went, oh, shit. Oh God, the Buffalo done show as well.
I think it's Anne.
And
the Irish.
it's okay. I can hear
Wait
the
till,
Irish.
wait till Starlink kicks in and Elon Musk starts giving out free calls and free internet, free phone for everyone. And
Forever.
you have another box for that.
Free radiation as well.
Yeah. Just. I keep joking about that, saying everyone should really watch The Kingsman, the first movie. It's really gory and graphic.
There was a couple of scenes that were pretty brutal.
There's some fucking brutal scenes in that movie, like even for me, and I'm pretty a nerd to that stuff. There's a couple of brutal scenes.
Speaking of brutal,
Samuel Jackson with a lisp. I mean, that should be the selling point there.
So great.
I know, he's so awesome. He's such a good bad guy in that movie. It's called The Kingsman. Again, not for the faint of heart, but that's basically the premise of it. Samuel L. Jackson is the bad guy. It's like free phones, free internet.
He's like an
for
Elon Musk.
everyone.
He's giving out these free phone SIM cards for everyone, and he's offering free calls and free internet for all people that take his free SIM card. Man, I'll tell you right now.
And it's not a good thing.
It
doesn't go well.
There's a first place competition going on for the richest man in the world right now, and it flips back and forth between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk at the moment. But my goodness, I think that when you get a little bit further along in his plans, he'll be the king of Mars, or the emperor, the grand high poobah of Mars. So he'll basically own a planet. He will have full control over stellar communications with his Starlink satellites, and he'll have his Tesla cars, the electric car market, the batteries that he's making. That guy is going to be rich and powerful in a way that our planet hasn't seen before.
Yeah.
Just imagine how rich he would be when he gets his hands on a few nice asteroids, to mine and shit like that.
Just putting out Starlink and providing a broadband internet across the planet, regardless of where you are, like in Antarctica or in the middle of Africa, that right there will put him miles beyond anybody else.
If you think of the show The Expanse, which of course just takes place in the future, Elon Musk could be the kickoff point to creating The Expanse. As in, the whole thing was Mars and the war between Mars and Earth, and then they have the Belters who are out mining the asteroids.
It's a setup for that future for sure.
Yeah.
And if you want to know what Elon Musk's like, watch the interview that Joe Rogan did with him. You'll find out he's very weird and unique, and that's before he has weed.
Yeah,
weird and unique is one way of putting it, for sure. He is like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of robot in that guy I see too. One of my problems with him is obviously, okay, so Elon Musk went from developing PayPal when he was like 19 and maybe like turning a program into a global financial powerhouse. And I don't think that many 19-year-olds are allowed to do that. In fact, I knew a guy named Caleb, and he was programming something called Project 13, and a lot of you guys may remember that. And Project 13 had the potential to be a cryptocurrency, a payment system. It had the potential to be that, and he was under a lot of scrutiny, and he was having a lot of hard times because of the potential of that system. So in the case of Elon Musk, you don't get to be a guy that just puts out a brand new challenging payment portal if you're nobody. He obviously had some sort of connection. And then he went on from being a programmer to Tesla and the Boring Company and SpaceX and Starlink. And my big problem with him is that he doesn't give anybody any credit. You know, it's all Elon Musk and his attitude and his ego and his name on things. And he wants to be that real world version of Tony Stark. And he really doesn't give anybody any credit for any of the things that they've done for him.
No,
he does sound like a Bond villain. Now you think about it.
He does
a
kind
Bond
of remind me
villain?
of a really good Bond villain. Yeah.
Bond villain. Yeah, it's like, you're listening to him like, does he have a cat and stroke?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say something here because I know that you finally got to watch Devs and American Gods. So, like, what did you think about all of those two shows, Danny?
Devs, honestly, we didn't finish. I'm sorry. I went through and read the synopsis. I couldn't I had
It was
Didn't
so
feel
good.
right.
I couldn't watch it for some reason.
It
I
wasn't
just
for us.
It was
it
so
just
good.
didn't feel right. And I read all the
American
synopsis, so
Gods.
I've got the whole thing. I mean, I understand exactly how it all went out and how it all played out, and it sounds like a cool storyline. But I really couldn't watch it. It bugged me. And
American
on
Gods
a-
is good, but there's an undercurrent narrative in that show that really pisses me off too. It's
Yeah.
just the kind of dude I am, I guess.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, we're
but
watching
American Gods was.
right now. 'cause
I'm
right
always
now-
looking for the turd in the litter box.
Yeah, we've episode 2 of season 3.
Yeah.
We've all just
Yeah.
downloaded to watch tonight after the show.
You
Yeah,
want to talk about a
there's a-
show that's
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
no, but American Gods has got interesting things that are said all through it. There's the little subtle one-liners all the way through it when they're talking about
Yeah.
reality and how humans create the gods.
The gods didn't create
And
humans.
the gods didn't create humans. Humans create the
backwards.
gods. And there's some really interesting pieces in that show. Really, really. And again, it's a little on the graphic side. Okay, it's a lot on the graphic side. What was that, Dawn?
Yeah. It's like 3 angels, jinn. 3 humans, angels, jinn. Right? 3 sets
There's
Yeah.
gods, there's
No, there's
demigods,
gods,
there's
humans,
there's gonna be-
angels, jinn.
Yeah, but there's
it's not that simple.
it's
I
not
don't
that
think.
simple. No, and I think that's what we're going to see in this season. We're going to
And
see
there's
a little
different-
bit more.
Different incarnations of types of gods too. Like communication isn't something we necessarily worshipped or praised,
Yeah.
but there was communication all of a sudden developed into its own god. And he's a dick. I don't like him. But
Money.
Well,
Yeah,
didn't the Greeks had a point?
Hmm?
Didn't the Greeks had a point with all their gods? I mean, some of that also flows in there, like the messenger god from the Greeks.
Well, this is okay. So we have got a little ongoing side conversation going on, the astrology girls and I, and we've been talking about the different planets and the planetary influences, et cetera, et cetera. But we're talking about it in terms of mythology, because mythology it could be taken as allegory, an explanation of how things happened, or is it more of a direct relationship of what was seen at the times? So when we look at Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and we see the names of the planets, and those are considered gods, etc. So we're actually talking about putting together a show that will be astrology, but more mythology, and looking at the mythology in the backgrounds of the planets, because there's just some pieces there that make me sit there and all these things that we're told about these gods. For example, it's always told to us this mythology, right? It's the Greek mythology, Roman, the Celtic mythology, the Mayan mythology. But when you come back down to it, these stories are all very, very similar. And they call it mythology, but is mythology the right?
to be fair, to sum up what Danny is saying, in that show, there's like 30 different versions of Jesus.
Oh fuck, that was awesome. That was the best episode.
Black Jesus, and there's
that was
The
great.
Mexican
African
Jesus,
Jesus,
the African
yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
Chinese Jesus.
and they were all
Yeah.
fucking there. I fucking loved that episode. I howled laughing.
Yeah, that's
All the
great.
Jesuses.
No, I love Nancy. The god that's the spider.
Oh, and
the
I
guy
don't like
that-
him. No, I don't like him at
Well,
all.
Yeah, he's the
I-
main
I
character
haven't
in that show
seen
that
it either.
pisses me off the worst, in fact.
Yep. Yep. No.
Well, they took him out of season 3. They took him out of the show and fired him at the end of season 2 because they said that he was so good at his character that he might cause a revolt with the black people. So they wrote him out, and he was not happy about it.
In my looking at that character and some of the rhetoric that he spouts, let's look at this.
We're going to go
god
there. We're going to go
That
there.
is arguably that old, who saw the beginnings of tribes in Africa, who was there with them, would have known that tribe on tribe warfare and tribe on tribe slavery has existed for a lot longer than white skin has. And that very real, like, slave trade between African tribes existed for thousands of years before Egyptians even happened on the scene.
Yep.
So blaming the Dutch white man for all the ills of every single person in Africa is really dangerous and stupid rhetoric, and it doesn't really jive with truth. Not
Maybe
to
that's
mention,
why they took it out. Maybe
not
that's
to
why.
mention, let's talk about actual slavery and say that it doesn't matter what color your skin is. There's slavery all across the planet, always has been, and it's not been really racist as far as what kind of slaves it takes.
They take whatever
We can argue
slaves
that-
they can.
We can argue that there's been more Chinese slaves across history than any other slaves. That's very real possibility. You know, how many died in the American railroad systems?
Nope, and that's just it. I mean, that was the one thing that there is definitely
what about
any show out of
Queen of
Hollywood has got
Sheba?
their propaganda.
What about the Queen of Sheba sucking him up her noo-noo?
Yeah, yeah, that was a little like, wow.
Yeah, they climax and they go to the vagina nebula.
Yeah, apparently.
That woman is freaky. She scares me. I've had nightmares like that.
I mean, there's even three in the animal kingdom, like with certain types of insects and that will sometimes use other animals to do their work.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yep. The Sign and the Seal by Graham Hancock. I actually have a copy of that, Claire, and I haven't read it yet. I do need to. I've fallen so behind on my history books and a bunch of the stuff that I've got to read. I have them all downloaded onto my tablet, and I just haven't gotten there yet. I'm taking a break from all that stuff and reading just pure fiction for the moment. It's like my brain needed a real break away from all the history and the science and research stuff.
Bazzy, a lot of the American Indian tribes didn't have a concept of sin. They didn't have a concept of transgression. They were more like, let's say, animalistic in their way of life, where they lived in the now a lot more than, and they didn't blame the past on certain. So that's maybe one very real way, and maybe one of the reasons why there's been such a war on Aboriginal people across the planet, in fact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, the point I wanted to make actually is, yeah, I mean, there might actually be some nations that are nice and kind and all that, but the main point is we all have sins at some point, right? It's what we make after it, what we try to make better or try to make up for, right? So yeah, I mean, we could sit here all day long and debate of who did what wrong in the past, but yeah, we should look forward and do the right thing now, right?
Well, universal law do no harm. I'm upset with the whole sin thing, because that's just a marketing program to bring on, and it's like, control. You're all sinners. Like,
but
geez, God fucked up then, didn't he?
That is slavery in and of itself, if you think about it. Well, you sin, so you know.
We're all slaves.
Slavery. Yeah.
We're all slaves right now. We're paying taxes. We're all trapped where we are, especially right now. Like, I mean, it was more of a you could almost call it an allegory a couple of years ago, but now having 2020 behind us, no, we actually are all slaves now. If that has not been proven to everyone, stay in your house, do this, do that. You must not do this. You can't do that. Close your business. We're going to order you to do anything we want, and you have no say. Is that not slavery?
Hey, Danny.
And pay your taxes.
You know how I feel about taxes.
You're from Texas.
Yeah, well, I sent Danny all the taxes I pay. I'm sure she almost fell out of her chair. Let me tell y'all this. I'm going to change the subject, because y'all know that I was taking care of my dad when he was sick. Y'all remember when I was over there?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the man that would never, ever let anybody give him a flu vax. I mean, he hates hospitals, hates doctors, the whole 9 yards, right? This is my father. We call him the general because he's an ass. So, so granted, they had to give him that COVID test. They stick up the nose, right? Before he got his kidneys done. Do you know?
Go ahead, Bob.
I went over there yesterday, and my dad is different. And let me tell y'all, he had the nerve to turn around and tell me that he was going to get that shot in 2 months. And I was like, what? And he's like saying, yeah, you know, I'm in good shape. You know, if I get the shot, you know, I'll be fine. It's all these people that have problems. And he's completely bought in on the COVID. This is like completely opposite of what my dad was. So then let me add this to it. So I'm pissed, right? I told him, you take that vaccine, I'm not gonna cook for you no more. I'm not coming over here. I was like, I don't want to be around that. And mother wouldn't take it. And he goes, yes, she would. And I'm like, no, she wouldn't. And I mean, it's like I'm talking to a different father. So I grabbed the dog and I walk out the door to go walk the dog. Well, before I left, I said, what made you change your mind? And granted, he lives in a 55 and up community. These are specific communities for old people, right? His friends in the community have been working on his ass. So now I'm real pissed. So I walk out and I'm taking the dog. I'm going down by the water and I see his friends. And obviously my dad told them that I'm anti-vax. So they're all coming around me and it was like something out of a movie. And I'm like, oh, so I understand y'all got the vaccine. And they're like, yeah. And they won't come near me. And the way they were looking at me was like something out of the fucking movies. I felt like I was the only living being standing there.
Hey, and I got to be the guy that was first on the scene after she got her heightened state. That was fun.
And then I'm like, are they building these communities for old people? Like, is there something behind these communities? Like, I started going like
nice little peer pressure groups.
There's
Well,
a lot of
they've
places
all
that are
been
starting to ban
changed.
that vaccine now, and they're finding out that it's killing a lot of elderly people. In fact, I
Yeah,
think one of the states is
all his
talking about
friends
banning
are
it now.
fine. His friends are,
Been bad for the
I know,
elderly.
but his friends are fine, Nick. But his friends are sitting there fine.
At the moment.
Well,
They're
yeah,
fine.
exactly.
fair,
At the
And I'm
moment.
like, and I
that
told my
vaccine
dad,
also is the number one reason that we still have COVID in this world, or it's as prevalent as it is, because that vaccine is literally spreading COVID worse than the people with their masks on or off, wherever.
and they haven't got the second shot yet. So, you know, who knows? But I'm like, you have a pristine body, Dad, and you're going to go in there. So when you never gets flu shots or anything and think you're going to go get that vaccine and you're not going to have any problems,
Did you happen to post up that video?
you know? So I'm just saying, I don't know what's up, but that test seems to have changed my dad too. That's my point here.
I don't know. I don't trust that test.
Not
I don't-
necessarily the test. It's probably all the people around him whispering in his ear.
Yeah, but even the test, that's the one question. And I think Nancy, know your COVID protection level. Oh yeah, perfect, Johnny. Nancy, wasn't it you asking the question last week, saying if you can get it just by sneezing on someone, if you got to have social distancing and masks, then can't they just do a cheek swab? Why can't they just do a cheek swab? That's how they swab for every other virus. Why can't they just do a cheek swab? Why do they have to stick this thing up your nose? Why? No one has answered that question. No
do you
one
think they're-
has
do you
answered
think
that
they're
question.
getting, do you think they're collecting our DNA?
But even your DNA you can get from cheek cells.
Yeah, you're right. You can get it from a hair
Right?
follicle.
A hair follicle. Like, if it was that simple, no, no one has answered to my satisfaction. No one has answered that question. Why do they have to stick it way up at the nose and scrape that little thing at the back of your sinus there? Why? No one has answered that
Unless
question.
if it's to implant something.
Yeah, they're doing
Well,
something because I'm telling you, my dad has changed before my eyes. And even with his friends saying something, my dad is still a horse's ass. He's always held his own energy, no matter what anyone has ever said. And I'm watching my own father change.
I hate to
in
say it,
front of
Don,
my
then
fucking eyes, and he's 78.
take it from one real stubborn ass that may be able to offer you a bit of perspective on that. If he's had all these people whispering in his ear about a certain thing and then he's made his decision in his mind, that may be all it takes.
Maybe. You don't know.
Well, I'm working on
You
it
just
every
don't know.
night. I'm sending him texts. I'm sending him stuff. He goes, I just don't believe all this, Don. I think they all had problems before, you know, and I'm like, so why would they still do it, Dad?
Danny has a dog.
I mean, we don't even vaccinate older animals. It doesn't make any sense.
We have a video that we were just watching from a doctor here in the UK talking about his entire opinion about the COVID-19 stuff from beginning to end, and it's a phenomenal video, and he just pulls every aspect of it apart, from the masks to the vaccine to the actual prevalence of the virus, the resurgent, the graphs on how the flattening of the curve, and he just pulls it all apart. And it's a really good, simple presentation that you can follow, and it might be great for somebody like your dad.
I'll put the link. Remind me. I'll put the link down below. Click if you're watching on YouTube. Down below in the description, there'll be the link to the article on RTS. The link will be in there for sure, because it was really well done.
Too. It's not just some Yahoo.
Exactly. He wasn't talking over people's heads.
He's an immunologist. He's not
exactly
even just a family practitioner.
But he simplified it down. He took it back to the basics information that kind of brings you up to speed from like high school biology, because we all studied this shit in high school. Basic ideas of like immunity, etc. We all studied this in high school. So it kind of takes you back to that level and then brings you forward in a very simple way, without going into the he said, she said, without going into the
flinging names or mud.
No, it was very, very well done. I will definitely post that video. Thank you. I'll definitely post that. That was I don't remember what the guy's name was.
I can tell you 2 seconds.
Pull up your phone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, because I'm gonna have to do something. I just can't sit here and let him. I mean, I get.
Unfortunately, Dawn, you get to a point where
I'm freaking out, y'all.
You have to sometimes just let these people make these choices for themselves. We can't. Once someone has made up their mind, regardless, I mean, there's only so much we can do, and that's whether it's talking.
Danny, I'm the one that's going to have to take care of his ass.
I know. I know.
I told him that. You know.
But it is free will, Don.
Exactly.
His name is Dr. Mike Yeadon. Yeadon.
Hold on.
Right.
I'm going to type it in. Dr. Mike Yeadon, right? Yeah. There. So that's the doctor. And you probably even just Google it on YouTube and find the video of it.
He's sitting on a seat in his garage next to a half stripped apart motorcycle.
Thank you.
This is the thing. Like, we can love people come hell and high water. But what it comes down to is them making their own choices, and we can only do so much. And I know it is frustrating, and there are days when I want to smash my head on a wall because I'm so angry and frustrated when you can't make people that you care about, genuinely love and care about, you cannot make them understand what is going on. And at some point,
well, they have their free will. They're entitled to their humanity as well.
And that's just it. And that's where you kind of get to that point of just like, all I can do is give them the information. And if they still choose to go ahead and do their own thing, regardless, I know it's their journey. It's what it comes down to. And I have to remind myself, everyone's on their own journey. And
and that makes things.
Go ahead, Monty.
It's easier too by having that. It's. I mean, family members are slightly different, obviously, but once you realize it's free will and they're on their journey, it's like, okay, the frustration sort of like if you find that spot in you, like, no, it's free will, you gotta let them go. Because like my dad's side of the family, they're on the whole Trump's Hitler things. Like, okay, but I can't get any evidence from them. It's like, well, Trump's an idiot. Well, why is that? Have you listened to him? Yes.
Let's put a track record down of what he accomplished in 4 years, and then I'll tell you again. To mention, if you look on any kind of factual internet, like search about him, the businesses that he's ran into the ground in his history before he was even the president, like, wow, let's look at facts. To mention what his own fucking grandfather said about him.
His grandfather?
Or
His
uncle, I think.
grandmother.
There was one of them that said I wouldn't
but
trust
then
this
at the end, December 29.
Say
But
again,
yeah,
Monty.
but
December what?
He still did. In December 19, it was one of the best economies. I mean, obviously it's fake, but still, it was one of the best economies for most of Americans because it was unemployment's down and they had more money compared to Obama and everything else like that. It's just that there's shades of grey.
It is all shades of grey.
The top of a pile of shit is still a pile of shit.
I made that comment back 2014 when we're talking about the EU and we're talking about the political structure and the economic structure of the EU. And it was like Germany is holding the whole EU up and Germany's doing the best, but comparing Germany, the penthouse suite of the Cockroach Hotel is still a Cockroach Hotel. It just means that it's the top level of the Cockroach Hotel, right? And that's one of these problems when we get into these political debates, right? We get into these political debates of who's done this and who's done that, et cetera, et cetera. But what it comes down to is it's all comparative. It's all comparative. And there's these shades of gray. There are shades of gray. And some of the stuff is blatant and in your face. And some of the stuff we have to work from an interpretation of, well, why was that done? And is it really good? Or is it not really good, right? Because we're not the insiders. We have no idea who's pulling strings from who and where. Yes, it's
well, the whole
buggy.
system's corrupt, and it's the lesser of two evils. I just know that Biden's going to be worse, and so that's where people come. Oh, you're a Trump supporter. It's like, not really. I'm just like, even when Trump was campaigning to be elected, oh, you support Trump? No, I'm just pointing out the Clintons are worse.
Exactly.
Trump said things. Yeah, the Clintons did those things.
This is the other thing. My dad says to me, and this is the attitude of all the older people right now that I know. Because me and Maurice are like, we're waiting to see what happens, on the 20th. Obviously everybody in our kind of reality has had all kinds of information coming in, but as far as like the older people, they think it's over. It's over. We lost. And my dad said, you're not even going to recognize this country in a year. I mean, that's his attitude. Like, he's
probably not wrong.
But that's the thing. I'm sorry, but he's not. He may not be wrong.
Let's go back like a couple of years or a year ago, and if everybody remembers when Hillary Clinton, I think it was one of the talking head night show entertainment frickin' idiots, Jimmy Kimmel maybe, and Clinton was on there and he's like, ha ha ha, how do you keep getting away with murdering all these people? And they had this nice little laugh, and it was this comedy sketch, and she pretty much admitted she just murdered Epstein, and everybody just laughs about it. So yeah, I mean, we may not recognize America in a year.
That's that's really the terrifying point.
What really creeps me out about it is, if you are that said good person and somebody puts out all these rumors about you that you are murdering or whatever, wouldn't you sue these fucking people? I mean, literally, if you're an honorable person out there and somebody accuses you of shit like that, wouldn't you sue that fucker?
I'm not sure if they have such a thing as like an inverse of a class action lawsuit, but Hillary Clinton would have to do something like that. She'd have to sue everyone.
Yeah, but imagine this. If you're going into court, there's always a 50-50 chance that you're getting away with it or you're getting caught, right? And if these allegations have been proven in court or have to be proven or shown as evidence or whatever, they might lose in the end, right? So this is so weird to me, because sometimes you really have these honorable people that sue the fuck out of someone because of bad naming them or destroying the reputation. But why don't you see that in all these cases, right?
Well, you said honorable, and it's the Clintons, so I mean that doesn't work. But the other thing is about the Clintons is it's beyond statistical. Like what, 57 people that either are her friends or work colleagues or have worked for them have all committed suicide or died in the last 30 years. It's beyond a joke now.
And the patterns of their death is
about-
crazy.
Yeah.
Like
it's
getting run off the road on their
apparently,
bicycle,
like,
fucking jumping out of their windows in their fucking flats.
I don't know who. I don't know if it was Clinton related, but someone committed suicide by shooting themselves twice in the head with a shotgun in the back.
Yeah.
Now I don't know how you get the first shot off, but twice.
No. One of
and
my
apparently
favorites.
Hillary Clinton, according to Yoko Ono,
One of my favorites. is
Hillary
the
Clinton
guy-
apparently had an affair with Yoko.
What? No.
Had an affair with Yoko Ono. Yeah, and what scares me is hearing Yoko Ono orgasm.
I can't think about that.
If you
man.
heard her
Stop.
music.
You're evil.
The auditory image or the physical image. Jesus Christ, why?
Why, Mon? That's it, Monty. You're banned. Well, I was saying one of my favorite ones of the suicides, and I can't remember if it was a Wall Street guy or if it was one of the scientists that was offed, is that he shot himself
9 times.
9 times with a nail gun. That's how he committed suicide. Because people do that, right? Like trying to find the sweet spot, I guess.
Yeah, because he gets the 8th one. Like, no, one more.
Just one more will do it. Just right.
Yeah.
Well, you can get nail guns that drive like
3-inch spikes.
We're not talking about little Brad nailers. We're
Framing
talking about
nailers.
framing nailers that are like, that thick and the kind of nail guns that go through concrete blocks. Those
It's
kind
like,
of nail guns.
oh crap, I moved. Let me highlight it. No way, I moved again. Dang it.
That one's off center.
I can't believe I'm this bad of
my
a shot.
My OCD is bothering me. That one's too far off center. I gotta try again.
I'm really upset with myself. Patang. No, I missed up. I'm getting this right. Patang.
Hey, did you see what I just put in the chat that Greg Abbott put I think it was a couple days ago. There's like a list of lawsuits waiting to be filed from Texas to Biden. As soon as he passes one thing, lawsuit. One other thing, lawsuit. Another thing, lawsuit. It's going to be on like Donkey Kong.
That's the only way to really stop the government from doing
Yeah,
this.
there you
It's a
go.
group all over.
You're funny, Johnny.
Oh, that bad boy.
Here, advertising. Nail gun.
There is a group, it's called, wait a second, I need to find it, but they're suing all of America. They're suing everybody. They're getting really, really collected and
That's
calling
what
each
needs
other,
to happen.
and they're making big lawsuits in America, but also over here in the Netherlands. It's called Life Force, I think.
I hope it happens here in the UK too, because there is a very
Yeah,
real need for it here.
I can look them up on my other computer and write it down, but they're getting really, and then also in the Netherlands, there's lots of lawsuits flowing around against the governments because
Yeah.
what they're doing is really, really illegal.
Authority without responsibility is running rampant right now. Accountability is evaporated. And It's just authority and power, and that's all we've got.
And haven't we lost, what, 4 billionaires this year alone have died?
A Rothschild just died. A 57-year-old Rothschild.
Yeah,
just died.
Rothschild. One of the Rothschilds just died. The guy who it was the CEO of the company that does Sweet and Low Sweetener,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
a multimillionaire. He just jumped out of window.
Yeah. An old guy, like 89 or something like that.
And
He's
some
like,
other
fucking,
Wall
I'm
Street
done with it all.
banker
Like,
jumped out a window.
Oh, really?
As,
Yeah,
as
jumped out of
Panda
a
says,
window, yeah.
he died or he died.
He was Epstein.
Yeah, he jumped out the window by being thrown.
By the
Oh,
way, did you see?
guys know tomorrow's International Popcorn Day?
Tomorrow
It's
is
every day
International
Popcorn Day.
Popcorn Day on the
Yeah.
19th.
Yeah.
Would have been better if it was the 20th. Just saying.
By the way, did you see there is some guy that made like an air freshener for the car, like these Wonder Trees, but with Epstein,
Yeah,
and
seen
it
it.
says
This freshener did not
This
hang
one did-
itself. It was awesome, Bazzy.
Fuck, I want one. I don't have a car right now, but I want one.
I like the meme I shared. Remember, kids, that Building 7 didn't kill itself.
That's right.
9/11 joke.
Because 9/11 jokes, they're the classics. They're the classics.
Well, apparently, I can't believe, oh, well, I can believe really, but apparently the younger generation have no idea what happened on 9/11. It's only been, just over 20 years.
That's
or
a
less than 20.
full generation.
Yeah, it's a full generation. Like, why? Well, what's 9/11? It's like, is that the Public Enemy song? Or
7-Eleven's Big Brother. You get better Slurpees there.
I wonder if it was the same way for World War II, Like, you had these kids, like, maybe 19 years later that didn't know that.
No, Earl, then the History Channel was created, which changed its name to the Hitler Channel, and they've just been pumping out Hitler documentaries. Even got to the level of Hitler's shoemaker, a documentary on everything. It's a joke, Danny, don't worry.
Okay, don't do that.
Always put little Nazis on Hitler's shoes for him.
Yeah, the Führer had tiny little feet, yeah? No, it's a joke that I stole from a friend of mine. Because he pointed out there's so many things about, apparently some guy in Russia called Stalin, but the Führer, he had 4 meals a day. So clearly he's, insane. I mean, he's also, he's a vegan and an artist. And he was also on meth. That could have been a hint.
That could have been a hint. Yeah, could have been.
I mean, imagine this from the perspective from aliens. We are out here down there debating whose psychopath is not actually the worst psychopath, instead of saying they're all psychopaths,
Why do I feel like Hitler would be given a promotion today?
I just...
You fail upwards.
Not wrong. He's not wrong. I just put, because you said about aliens, bossy, I just put a meme out this morning. I laughed, and it's like a little picture, like the little typical alien. It was like, take us to your leader, us saying, yeah, it's really not a good time right now. Not a good time right now.
I saw that the newspaper in the Sunday news paper was telling you all about the aliens that are coming.
Oh,
did you see
Sunday,
that post?
No.
On the Sunday news, it was on the front page on the Sunday news.
No, I haven't seen that
a week
post.
ago.
And
they are talking about aliens a lot lately.
I know.
Yes,
I know.
they are.
It's a
Take
funny
note.
thing. It's a funny thing how it's been gone from a foregone conclusion that people that believed in aliens were crackhead, tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists, to all of a sudden the government's going, yeah, we know they're there and they exist and we're looking into it. And all the media is the same thing. Yep, they're there. The government says they're there. They're real. And all of a sudden, all talk of those crackhead conspiracy theorists has just evaporated. It's like a freaking Mandela effect almost.
Hey Nick, when I had the experiences with all that during my, addiction and getting clean, my family never really believed what I would say. You know what I mean? I just know they didn't. And yet, since Tucker Carlson has had all that on, my perfect sister, my absolutely perfect sister calls me up. She goes, yeah. She goes, apparently, they really are here.
And you were like,
I've been telling her
really?
10 years.
So,
and then I'm like, okay, so can we have another conversation about this at some point? She said, yeah. So that's good.
I've always used the example of, the sky could be full of spaceships and UFOs and orbs and, the Enterprise and the TARDIS and everything else like that. And people looking at it and go, I don't believe it. They'll walk inside, see it on TV and then believe it.
But wait, now hang on, because there's a real aspect of what you're saying that is kind of scary, okay? Because there has been a massive, well, no, hang on, listen where I'm going with this. Massive prediction that they were going to actually try and stage an alien invasion, and it's all over the internet. You can look it up on any of their agendas. That as a last-ditch effort, they will stage an alien invasion to unite humanity in such a way that they can do whatever the hell they want and lord it over us for a certain amount of control as a planetary unit, right? Like not just countries, not just cities, but as a planet they can stamp down. And in a very real way, they're almost to the point now where they have the technology to make it look like that's actually happening and not actually real, right? So the new conspiracy theorists, the ones that'll be the freak shows at the end of all of this, will be the ones saying, Project Bluebeam, maybe this isn't real. Maybe this is actually part of the program. While all the other frickin' CNN yahoos would be like, "Oh, the aliens! Oh, the aliens!"
Yeah, I still maintain when this happens, like they do the whole fake alien invasion, the real aliens that have been here for millions of years are going to turn up and say, "Can you introduce us? Who the fuck are these people?"
We're being misrepresented.
Yeah,
What
we're
the
being
fuck?
misrepresented. We're filing a lawsuit.
Did
Class
you just
action.
cultural appropriate me, motherfucker?
Do you see the size of my head? It's not that big. Are you making fun of me?
Yeah, are my lips
I have a
moving? It's
nose.
called telepathy,
That's
you
racist
bitch.
and discrimination.
Yeah, this is why you're not allowed in the galaxy.
The whole blue beam thing for me, though, doesn't wash all that well because it's been taught for so many years, like since the freaking 70s or 80s. It's like, yeah, if they wanted to do it, they would have done it by now with the technology. And I just don't.
On any of those documents, it's like their evil plan Z. It's not like first in their priorities. But now, two things.
Yeah.
Because in that show, American Gods, there's one episode where they're showing what happened when they read War of the Worlds over the radio, and how people were freaking out when that actually happened in the 30s, I think it was. And a lot of people actually freaking believed that it was the end of the world and there was an alien invasion in the process. And the next thing I want to point out is you must have seen that video that went by of those kids that are sitting in the gymnasium and they've got that holographic projection of the whale that jumps out of the floor and then splashes back into the floor, and it looks like you could reach out and slap the whale on the ass. I'm just saying, man, there's a lot of fucking dumb people. That stat that went out that said, think of how dumb the average person and then realize that half the world is dumber than that.
That is how averages work.
Nick, didn't they have this year's New Year's Eve in America with the Space Needle?
Yeah.
They had some holographic projections there that looked like, I mean, I saw it only on tape, like on a screen, but it looked fucking amazing. So if they
China
can do
did
that
one.
shit, they can.
Remember,
China did one
Captain
last
Kirk
year
in space, right?
Yeah.
They've got hologlass technology. I don't know if you've seen any of that, where you can actually put on the glasses and step in through a portal into the world. Like there's a guy, it's in his office, and there's a door, and he just steps out of the door and he's in a jungle. So that kind of stuff isn't too far fetched.
Doesn't Japan have 3D movie theaters where it's an actual stage with a hologram and everything?
Maybe
it's very similar to that VR stuff. But remember the 1984 Olympics where they actually had a UFO land and an alien come out, and this is 1984 with that level of special effects. But you look at it now, it still looks fucking real.
See,
and that's the scary part. It's like, is this real?
Like the Mandela effect for me. Because
I remember that.
Hearing about that until several years ago. So.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of years ago. I can't remember watching it, but just watching it 2-3 years ago. Because see, this is the fun part of living in the moment of now. 2020 felt like a whole lifetime, but also you remember it as a Polaroid, and so now you have to figure out the calendar where, we had a year there.
Yeah.
So it's like, remember last year? Oh no, wait.
A whole year in your pajamas.
It's like a year that's hidden under a really nasty Band-Aid. You don't really want to take it off yet and look at it.
Talk about that.
Yeah, we really don't want it.
The healing. Let the healing. And then, of course, and then 2021 in 6 days just gone. Fuck that.
Just gets MRSA. MRSA in the wound. That's all. Yeah. I don't know, guys. This week is going to be fucking strange. I did watch a good TV show. Oh, what'd you watch?
I did watch. I watched The Queen's Gambit.
So was it good? Okay, everyone's telling me to watch it, and I'm like, it's not really my usual cup of tea, but I don't know, maybe we're gonna have to watch it.
It's only 7 episodes long. It's based on a book written in like 83. And I just realized I've watched too many comic book movies or sci-fi movies because I'm like, okay, this is where she gets raped. No.
Where's Michael Bay?
She has a drug addict. No. And like, what about no? It's just made really well. It's next level storytelling. The characters are allowed to breathe and grow. if you've got a fascination with chess, you'll love it. But even if you have no fascination, you can see how everything's built up. And the girl that actually is the main lead, she was the main lead in Split. If you've seen Split,
No.
I think she's also in the new Mutants movie.
Yes, yeah. If you want to look into psychology, Split is awesome because it's what McAvey, or the guy who played Professor X in
that's
the
a
newer
good movie.
McAvoy.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
His character actually has 27 personalities, and I think McAvoy plays.
Oh,
that's
yeah. Okay, I know which movie you're talking
and
about
it's
now.
a further installment in Unbreakable series.
Yes, yeah, she's the main character in that, and it's just made really well. Like, it doesn't, because it's set in the 50s and 60s. You can think of the old times. It doesn't. There's hardly anything related to now, which is how like New World. It's a proper escapism where someone does well.
My God,
so
really?
it's a good story.
Honestly, Monty, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but if you want just sheer entertainment and like mind fuck, watch Love, Death, and Robots. My God, that's entertaining, and there is some good stuff hiding in there. It's all animated. There's 27 episodes, 18 episodes in the season, and it's all short stories. They're all different animators. They're all different writers. Phenomenal, some of them.
Some of it verges on pornographic. I'm going to warn anyone who watches it. It does go there, but there's a couple of that's the Japanese ones. But there's a couple of the episodes we watched with the kids. There's the second episode with the robots.
3 robots taking a vacation in a post-apocalyptic city. Funny.
It's fucking hysterical. Like we laughed and we laughed and we laughed. The humor, and it's like 16 minutes long. So
that episode with the spiders really fucked me up.
Yeah, or that one with the Aquila Gate where they launch and there's a rounding error. Oh my God, that one is.
No, we don't want to talk about spiders and all that kind of shit.
We better find us a place to live soon. We need to find us a place to live soon because this place is going to hell in a handbasket.
Titan. I keep pointing out Titan. We just have to get there.
I was joking. I put a post up on my wall.
Wonderful.
Yeah, methane
highly
lakes
underrated.
I was on fucking around on the internet yesterday, and something came up, and it was an entire village in Wales is for sale. 1.5 million. There's 16 houses on it, a shit ton of land for agricultural land. And I was just like, if we could just raise 1.5 million. And yeah, I know there's people renting the houses, so you'd have to buy them and then be like, guys, I'm sorry.
Fill out this form. Are you an unfucker?
Yeah, are you an unfucker? What's your opinion on vaccinations and the Great Reset?
So you're also blacklisted though, Danny. So are we seeing all your posts, or what's happening with that?
Oh, my posts go and then they come back and then they disappear. And I know, like now again, where I did a bunch of posts last week that I must have slid under the radar, because a couple of the posts that I put out last week on Facebook got shared 400 or 500 times. And then this week it's like shared 7 times, shared 2 times.
I did share how you can block those fact checkers. I do that. I've probably blocked about 50 of them now.
But it's
Friday night my time. I had a whole meme offensive, and I'm over it. I leave the internet for 2 hours and come back. 45 notifications.
I did that too.
But I love my I'm blacklisted. It's like, well, I can see you. Wait, am I blacklisted too? Is that how
You're
it
blacklisted
works?
too. That's why.
I don't know what it was. There was like 5 or 10.
It's your phone. Okay, go take that outside.
I keep getting the red circle when I try to post things, and so I just give up. I don't even hardly post. And I'm thinking I'm probably the most innocuous one of everybody for posting. And I'm like, even me getting the red circles? So I just gave up. So sorry, Monty, I'm one of the ones that hits the like on your posts, and if it's giving all those notifications, I won't hit like anymore.
No. It's.
He just has to ignore his notifications. I don't ever check my notifications for that reason.
Yeah.
Mine sit at 99 plus all the time, and I just never, ever, because if I was to go there, I'd be lost. I want to put a point out here, because there's been this huge move. Everyone's leaving Twitter, everyone's leaving Facebook, everyone's leaving all these platforms, right? And going to their alternatives, whether it's Parler, whether it's Gab, whether it's, pick one and name it, right? Signal and Telegram. And yeah, I'm on Gab and I'm on Signal and I'm on Telegram. And of course, I'm on PocketNet, and I always keep saying to everyone, if you really, really want to move and get away from all the censorship, etc., you want to go to PocketNet because it's decentralized. They fucking can't take PocketNet down because it's hosted on thousands of servers all over the world. So Amazon can't do anything about PocketNet. Right. Anyways, but regardless. One point I want to make is that with everyone, and I get it, everyone is pissed at Facebook. We're pissed at Twitter and the closing of all accounts and the censorship, etc. But I do want to point out that if all the truthers, if you will, leave these platforms and go to these other platforms like PocketNet, like Gab and Parler, etc. When we go to those other platforms, because it's everyone who's left, you're kind of talking in an echo chamber. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone is kind of, a lot of people have left for the same, not necessarily exactly the same reason, but they left because of censorship. So if you take random talk, so you've got the COVID pandemic, you've got whether it is, you're talking about vaccines in general, whether you're talking about healthcare, whether you're talking about the US election, whatever it is, if everyone moves off of the big platforms and starts solely posting to these independent platforms, you are kind of talking into an echo chamber. Yes, you're going to be able to spread new information. You're going to have all kinds of people who may not be on the same level you are. So yes, you can help educate people even on those platforms, but there's still, everyone's already on the same path. If everyone leaves if everyone leaves Facebook and is no longer posting that content on Facebook, then that content is no longer going to be seen. And in that case, Facebook wins. Zuckerberg wins. If everyone stops posting on Twitter, Dorsey wins. They've just done exactly what they wanted to do, which was censor you by forcing you to leave. Sometimes you have to be the thorn in the side. So I get making a choice to go to other platforms, but at the same time, I just want to kind of caution people, if we all leave, then the people who are left on Facebook are never going to see another side of the coin. They're never going to hear another opinion. So that's just my one little note I want to put out there. And it's like, Monty and I might be the meme crazed people, but you spread information by memes, we know it. Sometimes that's the thing. It's that little colorful picture that makes you laugh, but also plants a fucking seed. And if we, Aaron, if we keep getting kicked out of Facebook, how do we keep enlightening people? You go back in. Listen.
badge of honor as well. If we get kicked off and banned, it's a badge of honor. It's like, well, that proves us. And also, as you can see, Danny and I and Nick as well, we're all shit stirrers. That's our technical. That's a spiritual label.
It's a spiritual
we just
label,
poke with us. Yeah, it's poke with the sticks. Like, do something. Like, it's still up. But if you saw the meme that I shared, where it's a Doritos packet, but it's got Zuckerberg and Jack on it, but it's Doritos and it's nacho speech, nacho speech, and it's like, let's see how long this stays up, and it has. I've got the lovely thing of like, I'm not really known, so I've got small amount of numbers, and so I'm not on the radar yet. But I'm still in the background whispering to other people. And
yeah, but you feed them to me, and then I can feed them out to a bigger audience. And one of my memes got picked up by Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers, and he posted that out, and he's got an even bigger audience.
Yes, yeah, bang, 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 bang.
Right. So that's all I'm saying is, I get the fury, because God knows I rant all the time. I am always, my children know, I'm always yelling at my computer, and Facebook is the one that I yell at most often. But if we leave, they win. So I just want to put that out there. I love PocketNet. I spend every morning, I get up, I have my coffee, and I sit back and I scroll through PocketNet, because I get a huge amount of news. Because again, there's people all over the world, and you get all kinds of posts, little bits of information. Yeah, you get a lot of shit. You get a lot of conspiracy shit. But there's a lot of information on there. And then it's great because it gives me a place to kind of jump off into, what do I want to look into? Is there some, it's kind of the conversation we had much earlier, Nancy, about where do you go for news? Well, same thing. I go to somewhere like PocketNet. You get this broad spectrum of stuff, and it gives you a jump off point to go, oh, well, that's fucking interesting. I wonder if that's true. I'll go look, see what I can find out about it, right?
Oh, that's good. That's a good idea, because I stayed on Twitter, stayed on Facebook, but because of the purge now, you're only getting one side of the argument. I like to look at both sides to come to a conclusion about something. So if you're only seeing one side, going to the other platforms, whether it's Gab or whatever, the same kind of people are gravitating right now. You get that confirmation bias going, and then you live in this, like you said, an echo chamber, right? Yeah. So, and then you start, not that I'm looking for confirmation bias, I'm looking for alternate opinions, because I think all information is valuable if you can use discernment and try to weed out the bullshit. So that brings me to another point. So all the war drums are rattling, and they've got all these troops in the US, but I don't know, guys, like, do you think it's just a dog and pony show? Because to me, if you were about to do something,
it's always a dog and pony show.
Table? That's what I mean. So why would you lay out all your cards on the table for the world to see? Like,
let me say this.
I'll be back in just 1 second, guys. Sorry, I just got to zip out for 1 second. I'll be right back.
The military is doing drills, because Maurice and I have seen them. They're doing a lot of stuff here in Houston. So, you know, if you listen to like, you know, the alternative shows on what's actually happening with Trump, they'll be telling you that there's a military action coming. Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying earlier. It depends on what camp you're in, the information you have, right? So those of us over here are like looking to see it. You know, is this really, you know, I mean, obviously we've been sold out to China, and this whole, I mean, we have been invaded. Why the military needs to step in. But right. But then, you know, the group like my dad, they just think it's over. It's over. It's fucking over. So I don't know. That's a really good question. Why would they have all of this military stuff happening?
I mean, the reaction to what everybody thinks it is seems like overkill to me. That's just a very basic observation, by the way, nothing in depth. But
tens of thousands of National Guard, they've put up a big fence which is all facing inwards, and because apparently the FBI is vetting every soldier that's gone into that that area, and because they're afraid that a Trump supporter in the military will shoot Biden, they're not giving the National Guard ammunition or clips for their guns. So why are they there? It's kind of redundant and pointless, and it's political theater done in high school. It's not like, you know, this is supposed to be a global. It's global conspiracies. Like, yeah, but Dave from high school did better than this shit. Like, he only had $20 for a budget. What the fuck?
I seen a picture this morning someone posted on Facebook of Nancy Pelosi, and supposedly she should have Secret Service around her for this one thing that she was doing. But apparently what the picture shows is four women with her, and apparently they're U.S. Marshals. So apparently she might, got taken in.
So what's a U.S. Marshal?
They're like I would say compared to like the mounted police.
Yeah, they're federal.
That's my
they're federal, like Mounties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a great show called Justified, which will explain all that, which I watched all at once. And I think you've got like Texas Rangers is also a different sort of aspect, and yeah.
Okay, now Clive makes a good point.
What's that movie?
Clive just posted. He says, "I was in the military for 9 years, British military, and never got issued live ammo unless going onto the firing range or guarding nukes." They're not going to.
Yeah, but the English are slightly more reserved than the Americans.
Just saying.
Canadians
Yeah,
too. We
you
don't
know-
get live
you
ammo
know
in the
what?
army.
Yeah, you don't get live ammo in the army in Canada.
So has anybody confirmed the fact that the phones are jammed and they've got these, what did they call it? Inspection. I want to use the word tunnel, but I don't think that's the right word. Corridors going on, inspecting cars and things.
Don't know.
Like I said, it's hard to
Where's this at? Where?
In Washington.
In DC.
Oh,
That's why I was saying I wish we had someone boots on the ground in DC, because people can say these things and call me a conspiracy theorist. And I got labeled by someone on the YouTube chat last week as being far too pessimistic.
No, I saw that.
Call me a pessimist, but we've seen all the bullshit. We've seen bullshit posts. We've seen
Statistically
a picture of. Hold on. We've seen a picture of dipshit Hillary Clinton wearing what looks like a really ugly muumuu and an ankle thing. Well, no, it was all put together. It's total Photoshop. It's not real. We have seen all kinds of shit that are not real. And when you have that being fed out continuously, isn't that convenient? Conveniently feed the truther movement with a shitload of bullshit, a shitload of lies, fabrications. It is done on purpose.
Internet trolls are paid, and they're a very real thing. The British military has an entire division dedicated to just screwing with memes and editing.
Try and have a round table in the conspiracy world, and you challenge people like that. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like even Q has been taken over, where it could be just one guy handing out information, but then this cult was all built around it.
Exactly.
And the president said, because the president touched his nose at 3:03, that means I should invade Poland. It's like, what is wrong with you?
But
the funniest one was
Go ahead,
sorry.
Nancy.
I laughed, but I mean, there could be truth to it. You just don't know these days, right? So I was laughing because somebody was taking apart one of Trump's videos, one of his later speeches where you don't see his hands. And they said that's because his hands were shackled. And I'm like, really? I'm sorry if it was someone from the group here. I just don't understand where that line of thinking came from, but it's good maybe to think that way, like explore all
I
possibilities.
think it's because we
but
don't know.
where
We
do
don't
you
know what's
draw the
going on.
line?
So there's that leap of faith of putting in together information. The problem is, like I've been saying this for it's so boring saying the same thing for 5 months. We have to wait and see. Like on the 20th,
exactly.
we still have to wait and see what's actually going on.
But
we
not
need
only that,
100%. Unless you see it, everything's suspect.
If there's a common sense factor, and again, kind of like what Monty just said, because I've been repeating this for fucking years. Do your own research. There is a massive problem, as there always is, but this year it's like grown exponentially, of people doing the copy paste. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to share it. Oh, I'll share it.
Yeah.
And they
Regardless of
do
truth.
zero fucking research to even look to see if it's correct. And it's very easy to sit there and go, I got sent 2 videos that are purportedly Donald Trump speaking. I could go myself it's obviously cut and paste of little bits of speech from other things. And you're sitting there saying that this is the real thing. And he's saying, yeah, we're all winning. And this is, I'm going to take over the world and everything's going to be all sunshine and rainbows and flying unicorns, et cetera, et cetera. But it was fake. And now when you share that fake piece of bullshit, it makes you look like an idiot. And the more people who copy and repost it, it makes them all look like idiots. Do research.
Are getting way good now. The South Park guys did some really good deep fakes. My goodness.
Exactly. But it's not even, and like literally, it's very easy to research. Did Trump make this speech? He is the president of the United States, regardless of what the Democrats want to say. He is the president of the United States. If he actually made that speech, you will find it. No. Not just some random guy with a YouTube channel posting this video that looks really, really cool and is saying all the shit they want to say.
Going back to kind of what Monty was saying, and a little bit further back, Danny has a pessimist on this shoulder and an optimist on this shoulder. I generally sit on the pessimist side of the shoulder. And in my opinion, as far as history shows us, these people that are leading the world, they very, very rarely pay the price. It's always people like you and me that pay the price, and it's never them.
Yep.
So in moving forward, I have a very healthy dose of skepticism when it comes to seeing things like Donald Trump going to be put in handcuffs or Hillary Clinton going to jail. I knew that when President Trump that he wouldn't follow through with that one, because none of these guys ever pay the price, ever.
No, it's like the whole thing where, like, I don't understand it. Like, anyone that's watched any military stuff, like, why is, they've got the laptops and they're preparing to mass arrests, and why are you telling everyone? That's fucking stupid. You don't really see in World War II the French going around, can you please turn up at this chateau at 3 o'clock? We're blowing it up. That'll be very nice. Thank you very much. Okay. It doesn't make, like, you don't go around telling the enemy what you're going to do.
Yes,
like,
exactly. No, I mean, and that's just kind of common sense.
It's a psyop, not to drag people in, but it's to throw off your enemy by propaganda or anything else like that. Who knows? Now, if Trump does pull out this shit from his ass and Insurrection Act and the Biden family and everyone gets to, that's awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
But if it doesn't happen, I mean, I'm not invested in it because it's a cool story. Someone should write that. That would be a brilliant film if that ever happened.
Yep.
But I don't see it happening because the system is so rigged to one side and they want stability. However, I don't really see it because the system has exposed itself. And like, Biden, I like how, we need unity and healing, and then tells everyone that they're a Nazi. And
and that new stimulus bill that he's got putting out, and a lot of the projections for what Biden's tax plans are going to do for the future of America. And if you look where it's going to put the burden of the tax onus, and it's going to give the biggest tax benefits, it's about exactly where you would expect those numbers to fall.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
I
There's a reason why memes exist. There's a reason why. What's the word when you say it's a you always talk about it. We say when oh fuck, the word's gone out of my head. When something becomes part of the meme life, when it becomes part of the things that you say, there's a reason why. Sorry?
Zeitgeist, that sort of.
Yeah, but in the fact of like, there's a reason why when everyone talks about politicians are liars. It's because it's true.
Stereotypes happen for a reason.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to get you to say 10 seconds ago. Stereotypes happen for a reason. Gotcha. Fucking politicians are liars. They never follow through on their promises, ever. And yet every election, there's this hopium. It's like, oh no, it's going to be different this time. I can point to some very strong fingers within groups that I know who were like, oh, Justin Trudeau, he's young and he's into yoga and he's gonna make a change. Yeah, he did make a change.
He loves blackface.
Yeah, it's called fascism, and that's what he's done to Canada. It's
We thought Harper was bad in Canada.
Yeah.
Trudeau has just like wiped his ass with Harper's policies.
Trudeau just took it to a whole new level in yoga pants. So like, this is my whole part of this is like what we said when we did the special discussion last week. Hopium is a dangerous thing. That isn't to say
that exists on our world right now, in fact.
That isn't to say that we shouldn't have hope, because I think every one of us has hope. False hope is a different thing. And the hope that I have is the hope that I make for myself and my family. It's the future that I make for myself and the way I'm going to put our family forward and go forward. The hopes that I have in that way. But these hopiums that are based on
the world becoming a magically better place
an
tomorrow.
Completely external savior meme. We've been doing this. There's a lot of people I know. I got an email after the show we did last week from someone who's been following my shows since 2012. And she said, I'm an 85-year-old woman. I have been watching these happen every decade since the 60s. In the 60s. She says, I lived through that in the 60s. This is it. This is the new change. This is the new hope. This is it. We're going to break that illusion. Everything is going to change. And it is going to be that summer of love. It's going to be that summer of, and we're all going to be wonderful, etc. Guess what? And it happened in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and here we are in 2020s. And
it's a very useful template.
It is a very fucking useful template. But there's a time when we have to just get off our asses and do what we can, stop looking externally and do it ourselves for ourselves and just be that in that kind of focus of like, because I know too many people who put their lives on hold, literally put their lives on hold. It's as if they've stopped living entirely.
Known people that have died in the middle of hopium, and that's basically what killed them. Deep down, they knew that there was no hope in what they were placing their faith in, and it literally shattered them.
If you're going to give up your life to follow something like this QAnon stuff or the Nasara stuff or all of this stuff that keeps going up.
We were talking about the cycles, but I think in my 58 years, this is the first time they've been able to lock down the entire world.
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
That's the difference.
Yes. No, I agree.
But if you look at history, around about this time in the century, there seems to be a plague or a cough or a virus, because the Spanish flu was
Right.
1920, 21.
Yeah,
And I know the other ones.
1917s, 18s, 19s.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you look at the 1800s, apparently there was something then, and then the 1600s. But
Yep.
as you further you go down the timeline, it gets more hazardous because we didn't have the level of medical technology.
Not true. Not true. Not true. It's actually plumbing. It's actually
calm down.
water
Breathe.
and
Calm
toilets
down.
and sinks. Triggered.
The Chinese invented the herbs, you bastard.
It's the plumbing. Plumbing has cured us of all those diseases more than anything else. Toilets, bathtubs, sinks, clean water.
And like I said, the Romans had exceptionally good plumbing. They also had exceptionally good healthcare.
And we're still backing up the plumbing yet today. So I'm just saying.
I mean, the toilet hasn't been improved in since it was invented, basically. So there's a little room for improvement there, but it's still done its job quite admirably.
Yeah, but the Romans, like, if you actually look into the Romans, they had, this is 2,000 years ago. They had a sewage system because they understood you get your shit away from you.
Exactly.
It's too bad they used antimony in their pipes.
Yeah, that was kind of a problem.
Yeah,
not wrong.
Yeah, well, it's not 100% correct, but still, it's 2,000
They had the
years
concept.
ago.
Yeah.
They had heated floors and heated roofs and just all this type of shit, and it's like
hot water tubs.
What happened? Oh, yeah, they fell in the Dark Ages and everything else, like, and were taken apart. But the whole thing of like, oh, people in the past are idiots. It's like, well, no, we're being taught that they are idiots and it's wrong. Because apart from the brutality, Rome kind of wasn't that bad. But brutality.
They brought a lot of good things to a lot of the world, right?
But you
Just
could also
roads.
say, like, yeah, exactly. Besides roads and sewage systems, etc. But
yeah, we're going to do a Monty Python sketch.
I was just going to say
The aqueduct.
Yeah, exactly.
The aqueducts and yeah.
Education.
Yeah, just stop. This is the thing. We get going back to that ancient history. They try and tell us, they try to convince us that people back then were stupid, and oh, look how stupid they were. They didn't have airplanes, and they didn't have cars, and they didn't have all this stuff, and thereby let's equate that to stupid, thereby equating that we're smarter than they are, when in actual fact, I mean, the dumbing down of civilization has reached epic proportions, right? And there's a very good reason why the Roman Catholic Church banned reading and writing, was to stop people from passing on information.
That's kind of happening right now, isn't it?
And that's exactly what I was just going to say.
It
right?
starts at saying you can't say certain things.
The first thing they did when they invaded, when they went into South America, when they went into North America, when they went into Australia, when they went into all over Europe, was to wipe out the smart people, all the teachers, all the shaman, all the lore keepers, the history keepers, wipe out the languages that they spoke, because if you can wipe out their languages, they can't then communicate the old stories, right? But Wales, Scotland, Ireland, that's exactly what they did. They wiped out the old languages. I read a piece just recently that was talking about ancient Welsh language, the written language, and the fact of the average person actually could write the ancient Welsh language. They found enough common type old notes that it could be used as an indicator that the people actually wrote this language. It wasn't just
Never mind
spoken.
the commonalities that it has to what Sanskrit.
And well, I was just going to say, we've got Sumerian tablets that shows that obviously the people wrote that language. It wasn't just that they spoke it; they could write in that language too. Or they found shit that are like basically sales manifests. Prescriptions.
Call of your copper sucked.
Yeah, literally. Like some of the shit that they found in Sanskrit and ancient Sumerian is basically the equivalent of us writing a note to, you know, like, listen, your fucking ox got into my field again, and if you do it, I'm gonna fucking call the authorities and have your ox fucking taken away. That's the kind of shit, which shows that, like, the common person, they could read, they could write, i.e., there was an education system in place.
They
And
had
go ahead, hon.
Had the intelligence that was relevant to the lifestyle they were living. They were equally, if I would argue, being a reenactor, that they had intelligences that exceed, based on the way they lived their lives, their intelligences were actually more geared towards survival than our intelligences are now.
You mean they were smarter and they knew how to look after themselves?
Required.
It's absolutely what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
a different type of mindset.
Yeah, they knew no one of perceived authority was going to come rescue their ass.
Yeah.
Therefore, they had to have the intelligences that were required for survival on a day-to-day basis in a community setting.
You can still see it in third world countries today. The average person, even though they're exposed to knowledge and internet and whatever they could possibly question, they can get the answer for, they're still concerned with survival. And it breeds a certain type of mindset.
Yeah. And you look at the Civil War in the United States, where you read letters from soldiers, and then you look at just text messages today where it's lol, where instead of a paragraph of the mirth that was created in my soul, and I went forth and laughed, and lol. You know, just since then, the decline of, like, that you can actually see the decline of the education in the United States. I can't remember her name, but she worked in the Reagan administration. The dumbing down of America, and she knew that in the 80s because
brilliant book.
Just slid in. Yeah,
I mean, we are
lack of critical thinking.
I mean, we are going back to hieroglyphics, right? If it looks like to me,
emojis are the hieroglyphics of the modern age.
But to be fair, so I try to pride myself on being a fairly proper spoken person, try to use big fancy words when I can instead of the stupid ones. You know what I mean? And I actually am fairly conscious of my spelling because I get slaughtered in certain places if you don't spell correctly. And I've come here and I've seen how people write here. Like, you send a text message, yo, man, especially in this place in England, could we argue that it is technically an evolution of the English language and how they're spelling and writing now, rather than a failure of the education system? Because it's almost turned into something completely different, like freaking 80s ebonics.
80s ebonics.
The subject. Think of what we were talking about last night with the Numa and the fish people and the Vedic texts and their understandings and where we are today. That's not evolution. It's evolution.
They're hearing you, babe.
Oh, I didn't know you had it.
That's great. Keep going. Did y'all hear that?
Mind you, if you were to go back to Shakespeare's age, like Middle English, and you were to just listen to what they had to say and try to follow along in a sentence, and then you opened your mouth to speak, they'd be like, who in the fuck is this ignorant hillbilly?
Not necessarily.
No, but it is the concept of pneuma and creation, and then the de-evolution that's happening, or what we know is de-evolution, you know, taking us away from our innateness as beings into something that is not. And the more innate you are, the better you do.
There's a piece, Dawn, I'm not skipping over what you're just saying. I wanted to go back to what Christy was just saying, because there's a piece that is really important to understand, in that when we talk about people, and whether it was the 1800s, the 1600s, the 1400s, 200 BC, it doesn't matter. there was an education set in place that worked under an assumption, i.e., if your dad was a farmer, you were probably going to end up being a farmer. If your family were cobblers, you were probably going to end up being cobbler. If your family was a blacksmith, you were probably going to go into that. And because of that, the knowledge was always passed down. And the knowledge would be passed down in a very thorough way, because if your livelihood of your family relies on you being able to be the best blacksmith in your village or in your larger area, it was important for that knowledge to be passed on. So people had survival knowledge, right? Like Christy was saying, it's, and not just survival, it's everyone grew food crops. Even if all they had was a little tiny patch, it was very common for people to have their own gardens where they grew their own food. They knew how to look after, they knew how to feed chickens. They knew how to raise chickens because it was common. It was something everyone did. The knowledge that they had would have been applicable to those times that they were living in for survival. The problem we have now is that, okay, so we have young people learning how to use computers, how to use technology, et cetera, which in a day and age of technology is obviously vitally important. It's a very useful skill. But that is the only useful skill that they're taught, right? They're not taught how to grow food. They're not taught how to make their own food. They're not taught how to any form of self-sufficiency across the board, whether it's
the average person probably knows more about like rudimentary quantum physics than they do about gardening.
There is no more survival information there. The information and the education that they have is how to work within a society that is completely different, and nothing that they're taught qualifies under those survival skills. So it takes them into their existence is literally an existence on a completely different level, which is why we now have all these young people who do not comprehend, cannot comprehend the greater reality around them, because they literally, nothing of that has been taught to them. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yes, yeah, that does. Especially some university students need to have a day off because President Trump won the election. Like, really? Like, you need, I need to save space because my fees are hurt. Fuck off.
No, but that's exactly it, isn't
the
it?
Board of Education.
Yeah, I mean, the example I give about, and now you don't have to prove it to me, but how many people here know how to start a fire without a match or a lighter? And
I do.
I'm not judging anyone, but it's me just being a smart ass.
Rubbing two sticks together.
Yeah, well, so even that's a pass, Earl. That's a pass. It's like, yeah, but there is a certain technique because you can spend hours just going, you fucking prick.
You can.
Oh yeah. If you don't know how to rub those two sticks together, it ain't going to work.
And flint and steel is so much more effective.
Exactly.
Yep, that takes a trick too.
Yep.
But
it's like that Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, and I'm just being cheeky, of course. It's like, oh, you're a human, oh, I'm intelligent, I can do anything. Do you know how to start a fire without a lighter or a match? Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, an example of common knowledge, think of some of the things that are so common in our lifestyle, we don't bother to write them down. And I always use the example with modern referenced people. Go back to the 1400s and try and find a bread recipe. What dumbass in the 1400s didn't know how to make bread?
Yep.
You don't write it down. Nobody needs to be able to reference it. If you don't know, obviously you're not old enough to have been taught by your mother yet.
Yep.
Did like
It's the same thing. It's like, there's no instructions on how to tie your shoes. Why? Because we all know how to tie our shoes. It's one of the first things we're taught. And those are some of those exact things, like you're talking about with the bread. Everyone knows how to make bread. Even men knew how to make bread. Even if they didn't do cooking, they still knew how to make bread because you're out hunting. You got to do something. Jane, are you trying to say something?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're feeding back really bad.
Oh, it's this new mic.
Hello, Jane. Are you there, Jane?
Yes, the voice of God. It's so powerful. It's affecting the camera.
Yeah, her voice is even affecting her camera. That's right.
When Monty was talking about the fire, it made me think of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark.
Okay.
Why? I don't get the connection.
Yeah.
Oh, just Dancing in the Dark because he didn't have fire? Got it.
You can't start a fire without a spark.
Yes.
Then you got Billy Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire." Yeah.
Oh, I love that one.
No. Let's not go there. Come on. No. Come on, guys. Just stop. You don't want to get me started on that one. Oi. Well, my darlings, our 2 hours is up.
Who was asking about a topic way back at the beginning?
Yeah, who said something about topics? Who was it? Nancy? See, we don't need no stinking topics. Topics.
Take your topic and get out.
Yeah, that's right. No topics for you.
The topics write themselves.
Danny.
Yes, Clive.
How is the T-shirt coming along?
It's uploaded. It's in the shirt shop. I will send you the link.
Thank you, darling.
Send you the link.
How do I pay?
You'll have to go to the web shop. You pay. I don't know.
Through the nose.
You pay through the nose.
Hey,
That's
listen,
right.
my kids, they're following a bunch of YouTubers and they were asking for some of the YouTubers' merchandise for Christmas or for their birthday. And we looked at the price and we're like, holy fuck. These guys have millions of subscribers. If they knocked a zero off that, they'd still become millionaires from their merch, but nope. So Redbubble's not all that bad, I guess.
Yeah.
There was also another thing. When you were talking about a farmer kid would become a farmer, I was thinking, yeah, new kids will become unfuckers,
So eventually our children's surnames will be Unfucker.
I like it.
Have you seen the
I'm going to
Unfuckers
change
this
my
week?
last name.
No, I haven't.
I'm going to change my last name to Unfucker.
Oh,
Why do
so
I have a feeling that the fascist Canadian government would not allow that?
Yeah, you could probably say that you're a man, but you can't change unless it's Unfucker. Yeah, with an O.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's French. Yeah, they can't attack you. The Canadian government's like, oh, it's French. Okay. Yes, that's right. I'm an unfucker. Go fuck all. Yeah.
Or replace the CK with a GG. Fugger. Or Fugger.
I'm going to repeat my disappointment in Austria, changing the name of fucking. Just saying, that's terrible.
But then again, they called it fogging.
I know, man. It's just no. The world is taking too much.
What did they change it to? Rutting?
Fugging.
Instead of fucking Austria, it's fugging Austria. And I hope everyone goes out and steals their fucking signs anyway.
It reminds me of that movie.
To make a
seen
t-shirt that says "used to be fucking."
Formerly known as the city of fucking.
But hey, how I know
Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton. It's like a Top Gun, not Top Gun, sorry, Hot Shots aeroplane, that type of movie. And the main villain can't swear properly because he immigrated from Europe to the 1920s, 1930s. And he keeps calling everyone a fucking ice hole.
Yes, I remember this movie. I've seen this.
You're fucking ice holes. It's like he can't swear properly.
Somebody teach that man how to swear. Seriously.
But hey, I bet you they have changed the sign not because of the name, but they had to change it because it got stolen so many times.
That's what they said. That's why I'm saying I hope people go and
keep it
say
longer than a day.
steal the sign anyway, and just like on top of it where it says fucking, just be formerly known as fucking.
Well, we see there's still a place called Dildo in Canada, so you know.
There you go.
You could just change the name to copulating.
Screwing.
Yeah, it's a
Fornication.
bit long. Mating.
Fornication. There you go. It'll be the town of fornication.
Or voting. Roughly the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Shagging. There you go. Sony's got it. I like that. They should just change the name to shagging instead.
hey, over here
And we have
so many
digressed down to this.
But hey, we have also so many little towns over here. For example, a town where my cousin lived for a long time. If you translate the name in English, it would sound something like Stone Fuckingham. But it's like in German. In German, it is almost the same, but it's weird. We had also the town there that was called something like Idiot or something like that, and it was like old time sakes, you know, like
We'll buy that village here in Wales and we'll call it Foxaville.
We have Iron Knob as a town here in Australia. It's not what you think it is.
Oh, listen, there's
We also
in
have
England.
Mount Disappointment.
England
Smoke rising
is
at Capitol Hill right now. Who's the unfucker that put that?
smoke rising at Capitol Hill right now. Oh, I don't know.
Did they elect a new pope?
I'll specificate.
Is it blue smoke or is it red
to,
smoke? This is what we need
he's,
to know.
I don't think that's how the president's
Kelsey.
chosen. I think that's
Maybe.
the Pope.
I'm a little unclear on
Looking
this.
for the
I
black
don't know.
smoke.
They changed the rules
Has
so much. I
anyone
don't
wa-
know.
Has anyone watched the history of swear words?
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah. We've watched a couple episodes of it. The history of swear words is quite good. Okay, my darlings, we're going to have to say goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. And we'll see you guys back next week. Same bad time, same back channel. Bye, everyone.
Isn't the right one? Not too sharp, I got anything left. Look for it at the right time, but it doesn't seem to come. Or do I get distracted by the turbulence?